Recently, Abike Dabiri came under severe backlash for a post referring to Igbos as monkeys and gorillas that she shared on X. There are several wisdom nuggets that are lacking in Abike Dabiri. Before we examine these wisdom nuggets, let us have a full description of the situation. Origin of the controversy. Abike Dabiri, chairman of the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, NIDCOM, posted a video of a young girl, Mercy, who had been rescued from Libya. In response, a follower on X, formerly Twitter, Wale Akere, commented with deeply offensive slurs, calling Igbos monkeys, children of gorillas, and bastards. What was her response? Instead of condemning or ignoring the hateful content, Dabiri reposted the message, adding laughing memes, which many interpreted as an endorsement of the ethnic abuse. How was the public backlash and reactions? The social media response was swift and scathing. She was labeled a grandmother of bigotry, queen mother of bigotry, and tribalist by outraged users. Activist Aisha Yasufu condemned her actions, stating, "Whenever you think this woman wouldn't go lower, she finds a way of really digging in and finding a new low. The bigotry you have seen online has support from their leaders." Other users framed the behavior as reflective of broader systemic prejudice. One wrote, "It signaled a full-blown policy stance and acceptance of xenophobia, alleging that tribal hate was being weaponized politically." Here are some comments from X users. Additional comments included, 1. This is the lowest I have ever seen in the history of Nigeria. 2. I thought this page was being handled by a responsible woman, but seriously, I see it's for her tribe interest. 3. One useless fellow, a concatenation of vicious and virulent characters hidden behind makeups. Some commentators saw it as a pattern of bias, noting Dabiri's past remarks referencing the ethnic background of Nigerians on death row in Indonesia. 20 of 21 were from a southeast state. Many experts have classified Abike Dabiri's wisdom in situation as severely diluted and deficient. Below are 6 essential wisdom nuggets Abike Dabiri is seen as lacking in this controversy, which explains why the backlash was so strong. 1. The power of words in leadership. In leadership, words are not just words, they are instruments of influence. A single sentence, a tweet, or even a simple emoji from someone in authority can ripple out into society with far-reaching consequences. As the head of the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, Abike Dabiri is in a position where her voice is amplified. That's why the decision to share a post that contained derogatory language towards Igbos struck so deeply. By appearing to laugh at the insult, she seemed to validate it. Leaders must understand that when they repeat or endorse harmful language, they lend legitimacy to prejudice. It normalizes hate speech and tells society that it is acceptable. Instead of helping to heal long-standing ethnic divides, such words reopen old wounds. True leadership means carefully choosing words that uplift, unite, and inspire. It means understanding that silence, restraint, or condemnation of hate is often more powerful than amplifying it. Words can build or destroy, and leaders who don't grasp this truth risk dividing the very people they are meant to serve. 2. Ethnic sensitivity in a fragile nation. Nigeria is not just another country. It is a nation stitched together by more than 250 ethnic groups, each with its own culture, history, and pain. Ethnic sensitivity is not optional here. It is survival. From the Civil War to recurring clashes, the scars of ethnic mistrust run deep. That's why leaders must be exceptionally cautious when speaking about ethnicity. When Abike Dabiri shared a post that described Igbos as monkeys, it was more than a careless action. It touched on centuries of prejudice, humiliation, and conflict. The damage was amplified because it came from a national figure entrusted with representing all Nigerians equally. At a time when the country struggles for unity, she appeared to take sides, dismissing the historic wounds of millions. A leader in her position should have set an example of bridge building and reconciliation. Ethnic sensitivity requires empathy, the ability to see beyond stereotypes, and to avoid words or actions that inflame divisions. Nigeria needs leaders who understand that every careless remark about ethnicity adds fuel to a fire the nation has struggled for decades to extinguish. 3. The role of digital footprints. In the digital age, nothing disappears. A post may be deleted, but screenshots, reposts, and archives ensure that what is once online remains permanent. Leaders, more than anyone, should recognize that their digital footprints will always follow them. Abike Dabiri's decision to share and laugh at a slur against Igbos may have taken just seconds, but the fallout will last far longer. The internet doesn't forget, and people will always pull up that post as evidence of bias, regardless of future apologies or explanations. Social media magnifies both good and bad. What could have been a moment to show leadership by condemning hate became a permanent stain on her public image. The lesson here is simple. In leadership, you cannot afford digital recklessness. Every click, share, or emoji should be filtered through the lens of responsibility. Digital footprints are not just personal. They represent the office, the institution, and the nation. Leaders must think not about how their posts feel in the moment, but how they will look 5, 10, or 20 years from now. 4. Leading above bias. Public service demands sacrifice. One of those sacrifices is the ability to put aside personal bias, whether real or perceived, for the sake of the greater good. The essence of leadership is rising above pettiness, prejudice, and favoritism. In Abike Dabiri's case, she didn't write the offensive slur, but by amplifying it, she gave the impression that she shared the sentiment. In doing so, she crossed a line every leader must avoid. She looked partial, biased, and tribal. Leadership requires restraint, especially when emotions run high or when presented with an opportunity to score cheap points. A wise leader knows that fairness and inclusivity are not optional. They are the foundation of trust. Without them, the people you represent will always question your motives. To lead above bias means taking the high road, even when others are walking low paths. It means showing balance when tempers flare and showing compassion when others show cruelty. Anything less damages credibility and erodes the respect that public office commands. 5. The responsibility of representation. When you hold public office, you are no longer representing yourself alone. You carry the image of your office, your government, and your nation. This responsibility becomes even heavier when your mandate is to represent Nigerians in the diaspora, millions of people from every ethnic group. By amplifying an ethnic insult, Abike Dabiri undermined the trust of the very communities she was meant to serve. Instead of being seen as a unifying figure, she became a polarizing one. Representation is about protecting dignity, not diminishing it. Great leaders understand that even if they disagree with certain individuals, they must never project disdain onto an entire group of people. Once you appear to favor one tribe over another, you fracture the unity of those you represent. Representation demands inclusivity, patience, and fairness. It means holding yourself to a higher standard because your mistakes are magnified. When that responsibility is neglected, the office loses its moral authority. Representation is not a privilege, it is a duty, and it requires humility and wisdom. 6. The cost of lost credibility. Credibility is the currency of leadership. Unlike money, it is hard to earn and easy to lose. A single misstep can undo years of service. Abike Dabiri's decision to repost and laugh at an ethnic slur instantly gave critics ammunition to question her integrity, impartiality, and competence. The perception of bias will now color how many Nigerians, especially from the Southeast, view her leadership. Credibility is not about perfection, it is about consistency. People forgive mistakes when they trust your character, but when you show bias or disdain, that trust evaporates. Once lost, credibility is extremely difficult to rebuild, particularly in a nation as divided as Nigeria. Leaders must weigh every action against its long-term impact on credibility. The wise leader asks, "Will this action strengthen or weaken the trust people have in me?" Dabiri's lapse was a reminder that credibility can be shattered in seconds and may take years, if ever, to restore. For leaders, credibility is everything. 7. Painting an entire tribe with a single brush. One of the most damaging mistakes leaders can make is generalization. Every individual has their own choices, character, and behavior. Yet prejudice reduces millions of people to a single stereotype. By amplifying a message that mocks Igbos as monkeys, Abike Dabiri was seen as endorsing this harmful generalization. That single act made it seem as though she dismissed an entire ethnic group based on isolated experiences or frustrations. Great leaders must avoid painting whole tribes or communities with one brush because it fuels resentment, alienation, and division. Nigeria has suffered enough from tribal profiling and ethnic scapegoating. Wisdom requires understanding that collective punishment or stereotyping is unjust. Each case must be treated individually with fairness and objectivity. Leaders must be deliberate about affirming the dignity of all groups while addressing specific issues without bias. Generalization dehumanizes people. Inclusivity humanizes them. Leaders who fail to make that distinction contribute to cycles of mistrust that hold nations back. 8. Expressing opinions without foul language. Leaders are not forbidden from having opinions, but the way they express them matters. Public figures must communicate with dignity, restraint, and respect. When Abike Dabiri endorsed a post filled with foul and demeaning language, she fell below the standard expected of someone in her position. Leadership is about modeling civility, even in disagreement. Great leaders understand that foul language cheapens their message, distracts from their point, and diminishes their authority. Resorting to insults signals weakness, not strength. The higher the office, the higher the responsibility to speak with grace. Opinions can be firm, honest, and even critical, but they should never be delivered through demeaning words. By stooping so low, Dabiri not only disrespected an ethnic group, but also diminished her own stature. Leaders must remember that the tone they set in public discourse shapes society. If they indulge in foul speech, they normalize it for others. True leadership communicates firmly, but with wisdom and dignity. In November 2024, Labour MP Don Butler shared, and later deleted, a post on X, formerly Twitter, originally written by British Nigerian author Nels Abbey, which described Kemi Badenoch as the most prominent member of white supremacy's black collaborator class, and labeled her rise a victory for racism. This sparked widespread condemnation, with prominent conservative figures urging Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer to withdraw the whip from Butler. Abike Dabiri did not learn from such an example. Good leaders learn and don't repeat actions deemed unwise by many. In short, she failed to exercise discipline, empathy, and foresight, 3 qualities essential for leaders in a nation where ethnic unity is fragile. Abike Dabiri's repost of an ethnic slur against Igbos drew backlash because it showed poor judgment, insensitivity to Nigeria's fragile ethnic fabric, and a failure to rise above bias as a public leader. By amplifying foul, generalizing language, she undermined her duty to represent all Nigerians fairly, damaging both trust and credibility. The incident highlights how leaders must choose words wisely, respect diversity, and communicate with dignity if they hope to unify rather than divide.